Hey everybody, there's so many people trying to push electric cars, and for understandable reasons, but the truth is hard to come by, and that should not be. That's not for any understandable reason. In the long road to electric cars, I just happened to find, which was posted a year ago, February 7th, it reports that less than 1% of the 250 million cars, SUVs, and light-duty trucks on the road in the United States are electric or were electric at that time. Getting drivers to switch from gas-powered to electric vehicles is essential for the United States to be carbon neutral by 2050. However, changing the composition of vehicles on the road will be a slow process because only about 17 million new cars are sold each year. Valuable to note. An industry forecast. Sales estimates of new EVs vary widely due to the uncertainty around local adoption rates, purchase prices, and incentives among many other factors. By 2035, about 45% of new car sales could be electric, according to industry analyst IHS Markit. At this rate, about half of the cars on the road will be electric by 2050. President Biden's goal is ambitious. He wants half of new car sales to be electric, fuel cell, or hybrid by 2030. If half of all cars sold by 2030 were electric, EVs could make up between 60% and 70% of cars on the road by 2050. Momentum is certainly building for the transition to electric. Automakers are ramping up EV production, and many new models are expected over the next few years. However, about half of adults who are aware of electric vehicles say they're unlikely to seriously consider purchasing one, according to a Pew Research Center survey from June 2021, because this was done in 2022. Consumers hesitant to make the switch cite concerns such as the high purchase price, limited driving range, and lack of sufficient charging infrastructure. Using a model that is a stylized portrayal of the U.S. auto market created by David Roth Keith and colleagues at MIT, we were able to simulate the impact of policies intended to overcome these concerns about electric vehicles. Let's go to that. Scenario 1, electric cars for sale. Buyers have a choice between gas and electric. However, because battery technology is new, electric vehicles have a higher price tag and require a new refueling infrastructure. Policymakers decide to support the new electric vehicles in two ways over the first 5 years: by offering a $10,000 purchase incentive and installing a modest 50,000 charging stations. 5 years later, not much of a blip. 6% of new car sales are electric, but government policies expire. 10 years later, sales of electric vehicles decline. Charging remains costly because stations are underutilized. Unprofitable stations are not replaced, and the total number of charging stations declines. And 25 years later, the sales initially grew. There were not enough cars in operation for the charging infrastructure to be sustained. A negative feedback loop is created, sounds like system dynamics, by the diminishing car sales, causing the number of charging stations to fall, thus making new electric cars less desirable. In this example, some new car buyers are interested, but there aren't enough electric cars to make charging stations profitable, nor enough charging stations for drivers to realize the potential utility of owning an electric car. the other scenarios, what if there are more charging stations? Now, that basically says that sales of electric vehicles would increase nearly the double the rate, and that in 10 years, sales of electric cars would dip, but not like before. And then it goes on to report that eventually sales would increase because of the charging stations. Charging stations are in high demand until the number of stations grows as well. So it would appear that charging stations are the answer. We have to have more charging stations in more areas. This says, in the real world, these simple scenarios allow us to explore the dynamics at play in transitioning America's consumer auto fleet. While electric cars have grown more popular over the past decade, their adoption has been uneven. About 2/3 of households who own electric or plug-in hybrid vehicles earn more than $10,000. There are 104,000 public charging plugs available right now. Not enough. The infrastructure bill that was passed in 2021 includes $7.5 billion to install 500,000 new charging stations across the United States. But details are spotty. And lower income areas, of course, are a challenge because policy hasn't focused on them. Simple as that. Simple as that. So when they ask about hybrids here. But the bottom line is we have a long way to go absent a multi-billion-dollar, mini multi-billion-dollar investment across the board. Something along the lines of 50 to 100 billion. Right now we don't have that. That's what it would take. Until then, it's a slow journey. So if you're wondering just how many electric cars there are out there in use, it's 1% of the total. Subscribe to Zenny62 and bookmark OaklandNewsNowBlog.com, and that is as of February 3rd, 2023.